the Zoids that die, spread the Zoids grow by. Skillings march in line, with horns army rise. Mechanical peace breathe, fire rise to sea. Red Newton's army times, against the blue they fight. When the Zoids attack, nail claws won't slack. Zoidzilla's cries echo loud in the chaos of cloud. There's a rust beneath our feet, find the blue can't defeat. Crimson storms they bring, rage of war they sing. In the midnight clash we ride, circuit veins don't hide. Oil and spots collide, no mercy is our guide. War and his thunder scream, send no peace to bring. Guardians tumble down, victory is our crown. Beneath the Zoids that die, spread the Zoids grow by. Skillings march in line, with horns army rise. Mechanical peace breathe, fire rise to sea. Red Newton's army times, against the blue they fight. When the Zoids attack, nail claws won't slack. Zoidzilla's cries echo loud in the chaos of cloud. There's a rust beneath our feet, find the blue can't defeat. Crimson storms they bring, rage of war they sing. In the midnight clash we ride, circuit veins don't hide. Oil and spots collide, no mercy is our guide. War and his thunder scream, send no peace to bring. Guardians tumble down, victory is our crown. crown. Beneath the Zoidstar sky, spread the Zoids grow by. Skillings marching line, Reborn's army rise. A chemical peace